Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you happen to be. Thanks for joining our stream tonight. Here we are, March 2024. And holy cow, wouldn't you know it? It's been a very mild winter in many parts of the world in the Northern Hemisphere. And we're ready for spring. So it seems to me for a lot of folks, it's almost like winter never came and they were still able to get out and do a lot of outside activations. Okay, let's kick this thing off. And then before we get into our topic of, hey, what's going on with getting ready for spring and summer and everything that comes in this incredible 2024 year. Over to Tim, N9SAB. Hey, Tim, what's going on in your world?
I got a new microphone.
Oh, it sounds good.
Isn't it so?
Yeah.
Check out outdoorsontheair.com. So I hear what you say about winter not being very much in our area. We had a very mild winter here, and I'm just afraid that these things have to be paid for somehow. So
yes.
I've got my first camping trip of the year booked for May, and I'm worried about black flies and mosquitoes being early this year because they didn't all get killed off from the cold.
You know, it'd be nice if we had like a nice, late April freeze, because the mosquitoes will be deadly around here too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tim, how's it going? How's Tim, the proprietor of the N9SAB antenna store? How are things going on that front?
Oh my gosh, I love being busy, and I love not being able to do anything else other than make antennas. But we had a heck of a year last year, so it's been explained to me that I need to incorporate. What a hassle, even when you go to like LegalZoom or something and get all this stuff done for you, the fact that I have to stop doing something and then do this and then do that, so now people, I've got all these questions I'm supposed to ask, and now LegalZoom sends me like an email every day. Oh, did you do this? Oh, did you do that? Did you know you need to do this? We have your credit card on file. You want us to take care of that for you? It's just like, no. We'll see how that goes. But for taxes, that looks like it's going to be the way to go. And
do they want you to incorporate or to do like an LLC?
What's the difference? I'm being silly. I know what the differences are, but I'm just being, But the fact that I can't be me anymore, I have to be another legal thing.
Huh.
Well, I'm thinking,
or I can just pay everything I make in taxes.
You can do that.
Ooh.
Why not?
I'm thinking that the fact that you need to do something like this is a good indication that business is good.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and I love.
That's great.
I love all my customers.
That's fantastic too.
And I love my shiny new mic.
Oh yeah, show the people. I mean, everybody's interested in microphones here.
I can do my Tony Bennett microphone action here.
Yeah, nice.
Can you see it? The best part about it was cheap.
They were singing your tune.
It was. This is what happens when stuff you like shows up in your Amazon feed. You might like this.
That's right. You might. That's right. We know we have recognized by your spending habits that you're cheap. So you might like this.
It happens to my wife more often than I care to admit.
Good stuff. Hey, we got some people who are dropping comments. We got K2CJB. Thanks for coming on board. Appreciate your being here with us. Fred Torres, KI7VNG. Hey, Fred, thanks for joining. And finally, the troublemaker from Georgia, we got Philip, KA4KOE. Hey, Philip, hope things are okay down your way.
He breaks things.
Yeah, I've got a slide or two about Philip a little bit later on that we can show because he's got something interesting going on down there. Ooh, hey, we got Michael from Labrador, VO2MS. Always nice to have you with us, Michael. Thanks for joining.
Bombs.
Wow. All right. So, Tim, business is good. You're keeping up with demand. I go to the N9SAB antenna store, and I place an order tonight right after the stream because I'm all excited about your product. How long till I get an antenna?
How long before I put it in the mail, or how long does the mail take to get it to you?
Oh, forget the mail. Especially, it's like, we can't verify that.
I'm running about 2 days behind.
That's really good though. 2 days.
Yeah. But I get a lot of personal. I get a lot of personal communications too. There are lots of people who want special things, and there are people who need something sooner. Like I had a guy contact me today, and it's like, I could be really nice if I had it this weekend. What am I going to do? Say no?
Right.
Of course not.
Well, the thing is because people are dealing directly with you, is you actually will customize pretty much every antenna that you sell.
The personal relationship with the artist is such an important part of the antenna business. I can't explain. Go to outdoorsontheair.com. But it's true. I do end up having conversations and relationships with people I make antennas for. So I like that.
Yeah.
I have no time to eat. He's right. Uh-oh. He dropped out.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Keep your elbows off the table.
That's right. That's
Keep
it.
your elbows off the table.
Right.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah. It's from going through Sudbury. That's what happened to him.
That's it. You guys are talking about the northern hinterlands of Canada, the frozen.
Oh, guys.
Yeah, you're
There
back.
you go.
Okay, StreamYard is doing some. It's there's a gremlin in the system tonight. It's kicking me out from time to time.
I think you got a loose wire.
What's that?
You got a loose wire. You got a loose connection there. Seems like every time you lean forward and bump into something, you're cutting out.
I'm not bumping into anything. There's something more going on here. Anyway, Tim, we've never addressed on the stream here that you actually do customization of antennas. Give us some examples of some things you might customize for somebody.
I get a lot of requests for different frequencies, different bands for dipoles and things like that. That's probably the most I get. And then I get a lot of requests for like 80-meter extensions to the link dipoles and things like that. In fact, there's a fun story about that. I think I shared with you earlier about the little old lady in the Russian sidecar.
Yeah. We haven't talked about it. There's a slide. We'll address it.
Yeah, that is so cool. And pretty much everything else, like for Kittel on the European Ham show, he wanted a 60-meter center-fed dipole. So I did that for him. Everything else is pretty much custom connectors or anything like that people want. Phil's kind of a pain in the neck about that kind of stuff, though. Hey, can I get it with this? And no, I wanted it with that.
He's an engineer, though, right?
Oh, I know.
Sorry, Chris.
Well, hey, don't make fun of us engineers. I used to be an engineer. Now I are one.
Yeah, that's right.
What I was going to say is that even again, I think the benefit that dealing with Tim, as opposed to ordering an antenna like from DX Engineering or Ham Radio Outlet or something like that, you can get wire antennas almost anywhere. But when you order from Tim, you're going to get you're going to get like the personalized service in that he will ask you, okay, you're going to get a link dipole. He's going to ask you, are you going to have it flat or are you going to have it as a V?
Right.
Each antenna is cut to different lengths. So that's why I think that the connection, I'm putting a real shameless plug in here for you. The connection of being able to contact you and say, hey, this is the antenna, and you're going to ask them, how are you going to use it? Where a guy at DX Engineering, they don't care. They just say, take it off the shelf and they ship it.
Somebody went and invented this damn thing too. So like now I have the app. So like if people forward me questions and things like that, I mean, I always have that with me. Yeah. And if I don't answer questions right away or I don't do something, I'll forget. I'll have moved on to something else in 5 minutes. So I get a lot of, I tend to answer those questions rather quickly. People seem to like that.
Yep. Yeah. So I think there's a lot to be said for it. So anyone that's watching this stream live or later on.
And there's a lot of new hams too. I mean, I get questions from new hams, and it's like, I'm thinking about doing this or I'm thinking about doing that. What would you do?
Yep.
So I get to explore those topics quite a bit as well.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, and look, when my first dealing with you was the old K9 ARV when Tony had his.
Yeah.
And he had one of your antennas. I said, I got to get one of those. I just went on eBay and ordered it. And it was literally like within a couple of days, boom, there it was. I said, awesome. And I still have it. And it's literally one of my go-to antennas all the time.
That was the idea.
Yeah.
You can play around with your coil and your vertical and all the stuff that you want. But when you lose a screw or you drop a nut or something like that, you can always pull old reliable out of it.
That's it. The other thing, and look, everybody knows I've got the Wolf River coil, and I've got the 17-foot whip. I have all that, and I throw the radials out, and does it work? Sure, it works great. But to your point, is like to set that up is a little more involved. And like, look, I can take yours and put it on that pole, run it up, stake out the ends. I'm on the air.
I don't even do a pole. A couple of throw bags, and we're in.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Yeah.
But a lot of people don't have trees, which amazes me. But
some state parks don't want you throwing anything in trees. So.
Okay. Hey, listen, we got a couple of people joining us. Mike N2MAK. Nice to have you on board, Mike. Hope you're doing well. Who else we got here? Jay N6WIP. Hey, Jay, good evening to you, and hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. Okay, over to Chris. Chris, hey, what's going on in your life these past several weeks?
Sadly, and I say it sadly, there's been like little or zero radio activity for me. It's just been everything else has really just kind of gotten my attention. So I haven't really had a chance to even flip the radio on, see if it still works. And I know some folks, if you subscribe to my channel, I'm still alive. I haven't posted anything in a little while, but I've got a couple of things in the hopper, some projects that I'm about to start. So I'm just putting that little tease out there. And one of them has to do, actually, two of the projects have to do with an old tube radio, and that's all we're going to say.
Oh, cool!
Don't tease.
Little tease. Yep, gonna do a little work on a power supply and an old tube HF radio. So, yeah. So that's really been it for pretty much for me. It's been, like I said, not a whole lot of radio stuff going on. And what's frustrating, because I will look around every once in a while. Depends where I am. I happen to look at that little solar app. You know, it tells you how the bands are, good, poor, fair. And I'll tell you, what I'm seeing is almost every night, everything from 15 meters on down is open. So it's like, man, I'm missing out on a lot. But yeah, I have done. I shouldn't say I haven't done anything. Like usually, I'm tooling around in the truck. I've got the ICOM 7100 in my truck with some Hamsticks, and sometimes I'll tune around. I might hear like a POTA activator out there, and I'll just work the guy just to help him get his make sure he can activate the park. Although I'm seeing even on that the POTA Facebook group, which is a great group, a lot of guys put up that map that shows like all the contacts that they've made, and there are guys going out to parks and they're making hundreds of contacts. QRP. It's like, man, oh man, nice.
Isn't that fun? What have you done with Hamsticks? I'm curious. You got?
I have on my truck. I have I have two Hamsticks. I have a 20 meter and a 40 meter, and I mounted behind the driver's seat on a little. I put in a little box underneath the little seat in the back. I don't know, like the crew seat they call it or whatever it is. Underneath that, I built a wooden box to hold tools and stuff. But I mounted an antenna switch on that, and it's a 3-position switch. So one position is a 20 meter Hamstick, the second position is a 40 meter, and the third I leave open. So say if I'm activating a park or doing field day out of my truck, and I have either your link dipole or the vertical or whatever sitting next to me on some on a grassy area next to the truck, I run the coax cable in and I put that into the third position. So now I've got 3 antennas to pick from while I'm sitting in the truck.
That's awesome.
But when I'm driving, at least I can go back and forth between 20 and 40 using a Hamstick. The Hamsticks, it's of course now because the bands are as open as they are. I mean, you can pretty much go out there with a little more than a dummy load, and you're still going to make contacts. So the Hamsticks are seriously compromised antennas. I mean, as Tracy, you learned with your video you're doing, and that's with putting a set of counterpoises on them. But when it's just mounted onto the truck, which I bonded, I've got all the braid, tying the bed to the cab and all that stuff. So the RF ground plane for the antennas is about as good as it's going to get. It's still not an ideal counterpoise by any stretch.
Here, take it here. Out of here. If you can see this or not. Can you get up there?
Yeah.
See that?
Yep.
So that is 2 Hamsticks, 2 20-meter Hamsticks.
Yep.
Cut for 17 on a rotor.
There you go.
About 30 feet up.
There you go. It'll work, and they work fine, right?
It was perfect. Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, and Walt just did a Hamstick video not too long ago. I think too.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
I haven't seen. I saw the thumbnail. I haven't seen it yet though.
It's on in the background when I'm working, and sometimes like if something catches my ear, I'll pick up. But I just remember watching Hamsticks.
Yeah,
which are great.
They're great antennas. Of course, they're mono band, so there's, like mobile. You could go either have a single mount, and that means if you want to change bands, you got to pull over, change antennas. And Tracy, as you're finding out, there also is, and you knew this already, but they're very persnickety to tune them. Especially like the 40-meter antenna. I'm telling you, you that little stinger, you move it a 16th of an inch,
yeah.
totally
out of the yeah. And those are twinned, right? So
yeah.
So it was up and down and up and down, and maybe the marker marks on that thing are still there. I don't know. It was so many years ago I did it, but they've held up.
But that's just it. Now, one thing I learned the hard way too is with a Hamstick, when you thread it into the mount, right, you don't want to grab the base of the antenna and snug it down that way. You really want to just use a little wrench and tighten it down to the bottom, because the solder they solder the coil onto the metal. With that solder connection, you give it a good twist, you're breaking the connection. I had that happen on one of my.
How the heck did I do that? I would have to go back and look at that now. I don't even remember, but I think I got from I don't know, it was from MFJ or someplace like that, where you have a dipole bracket or something like that.
Yes.
And you had the 3/8. It was the 3/8 20, I think, is the thread size.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Goes on the thing, and then just tweaking it to death and tweaking it. And I think I ended up gluing the stingers in place, right? So they would move around, and then put it on the rotor, and it was a nice little rotatable dipole, almost like a beam. In fact, because it's got I don't know, they're at maybe 160 degrees.
Yep. Now I saw what's I forgot his name. Ham Radio Concepts down in Florida, down in Vero Beach, down there.
Eric,
He took he made his own, how I think MFJ makes it. It's like an octagon kind of multi-band antenna. It uses Hamsticks on it, and he made his own. He took an electrical box, an octagon-shaped electrical box. And he made his own mounts, wired it all together, and put it up on a pole, and the thing worked fine.
Nice.
So they're great little antennas, but there's serious compromise. It's mostly coil with a little stinger on the end of it. But
it's about convenience and experimentation. I mean, I wouldn't. It's not something I would do. I mean, it's still up there because it works. Too much hassle to take it down. So
right, and it works. So as long as it works, you use it.
I don't have a. If I want to work, the Yukon or someplace like that, I can always just spin it around. And trouble is when I made that, nobody was on 17 meters, and it was hardly ever open. So
right.
Okay.
Right.
Wait, what did Mike say?
No, Mike's absolutely right. What he said.
Okay. Yeah. While I like the 17-foot telescoping whip antennas for portable use for my car, if it's windy, then I have no problem using a Hamstick on a mag mount.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. Sure.
What fun.
Yeah.
That's real ham radio right there.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right.
And that's what we do, right? We experiment, right? You just keep, especially with antennas, You're
not using a Hamstick on a mag mount. That's not real ham radio.
Hey guys, let's say hi to some people that have joined us. VA7HCW, greetings from BC. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Now you know what this means, guys. We're now coast to coast in Canada. We got Labrador to BC tonight. How cool is that? Nice. 17 degrees Celsius, mid 60s. Holy mackerel!
That's just like downtown.
Geez. We got Neck from the Ontario CB Club. Hey, Neck, hope you're doing well. Nice to have you on board. What else we got going on here? Oh, so Neck was just mentioning that he uses a boomerang antenna. Do you guys know what a boomerang antenna is? Out the window on the 3rd floor, I talk all over Europe on 11 meters. I wish I could show you. Don't know. I haven't. I don't think I've heard of that one.
Well, let's look it up real quick.
Now 11 meters.
I have a feeling it's a name for something else that we know. Oh yeah, that's a and then.
So CB or 11 meters has experiencing the same openings that ham radio is experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The only thing is I can't get used to the lingo on CB I just can't get used to it.
It's been a long time since I've been on CBs.
Yep. So I did 100 watt. I I did a 100-watt dipole on 11 meters for a lady a couple of weeks ago.
But wait a minute, there's a problem there.
That's right.
She only needed a 5-watt one.
That's
no,
right.
No. The antenna was rated at 100 watts.
Which means that she's probably operating illegally.
Well, no,
listen. All right, so all right, I'm gonna put this out there. I don't want to. I don't want to derail.
Whoa!
I don't want to derail our conversation.
What are you doing?
I see some CB radio groups on Facebook, right? And there are guys that put pictures up there of CB Shack on Facebook. And what do they got? You'll see a Yaesu rig, like a some Yaesu radio sitting there. It's been opened up for like mirrors, right? So and then you'll see ICOMs, you'll see Kenwoods, and I'm like, dude, I thought it was only supposed to be 5 watts.
There are no CB radios for more than 5 watts. What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the ICOMs and Yaesus.
Who? You can't open up your radio and change that. That's crazy. You'll break something.
Okay, I think we should move along, guys.
You guys watch too much.
Because I just think that's a reality.
You guys
know
watch
what's like
TV. That's crazy.
I just think it's a thing, and that's all there is to it. Okay, let me see here. Hey,
all
Fred,
I was saying is that there was an antenna for 11 meters that I made for a lady.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Excellent.
11 meters.
I'm sorry for taking us in an unexpected turn.
100 watt because she wanted the integrated 1-to-1 balance. So
you know what? Even
100 watt.
And you know what, Tim? That's something that I've always liked myself. Is even though I predominantly operate QRP from the field, I always want, whenever I've got a choice between a 5 watt and a 100 watt, I always want to take the 100. Number one, just in case I ever wanted to use more power with it. And number two, it can take more abuse from an SWR perspective.
And when you get your license, you can just droop the ends and use it on 10 meters. How about that?
That's a good point. Trim it up a little bit too. So here's Fred. Fred is saying, hey, what's your thoughts on the purchase of the IC705? Hey, Fred, you know what? It doesn't matter where you look online. You're going to find all kinds of people who will tell you it's an absolutely fantastic radio. I'm just going to say I'm probably a lone voice in the wilderness, but I think it's a mixed bag. I'm going to be producing a video sometime over the next several months with my with really a little bit more critical eye towards some of the things going on with it. Hey, is it a fantastic radio? Yeah, from a technological perspective, it's got a ton of features. I don't know if anybody could ever use all the features that are built into it. So for that perspective alone, it's probably worth it. Am I nitpicking when I take a look at some of its flaws? Hey, maybe I am. And I'm also, just look at me, right? I'm an older guy. So, I'm not necessarily won over by the blinking lights, the bells and whistles. I like solid basic performance. And that's where in some cases I feel the 705 lets me down, but there's more to come on that. But is it a great radio? It's a great radio. But I'm not here to bash on the 705.
Buyer's remorse.
Not really. It's
overpriced and underpowered. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. So here we go, Mike. Let's go. Let's get back to Mike N2MAK. Hey, Mike. Real Ham Radio is putting up an 80-meter off-center fed dipole at night for a POTA late shift in January.
Yeah.
That's off
at 43 degrees latitude in January, putting up that 80-meter OCF. That's not only Real Ham Radio. That's Ham Radio YouTube badass right there.
Yeah.
Dreams it.
That is hardcore.
I like that.
Dude,
I'm a fan.
I'm taking my bat. Taking my bat and my ball. I'm going home.
I'm sure everybody that's on this channel tonight has watched Tracy's last video, and he looked like Nanook of the North, like up at the weather station up there.
Game's over at that point.
Yeah.
Game's over.
Hey, look, we got WA2SVM. Hey, Dave, thanks for joining us.
That's my friend Dave. Dave and I were in drum corps together for many years, and we found out after we were in drum corps together that we both worked in television. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, drum music. Yeah, Dave is an outstanding like marimba, xylophone, like percussionist. Outstanding. Yep.
Did I hear you say drum corps?
Drum and bugle corps. Yes, sir. I was in that for a long time. And then I got paroled.
What happened to AV Club?
I was in that in junior high, but I got kicked out.
You got kicked out of the AV club?
But that shouldn't surprise you that I got kicked out.
So I'm looking for a boomerang antenna, and I see the little boomerang shaped things people put on top of their RVs and stuff, but I don't see, unless that's what he's talking about. That's how we got here, by the way.
Hey, Nick, put a comment in. Give us a little bit more information on the boomerang, if you don't mind. We're all very interested in that. Fred chimes in, says, hey, down in the States, Nevada. Hey, fantastic. Nice to have you on board from Nevada. We got Philip, KA4, KOE. Tracy needs a G90. Well, Tim's, the great thing about that is, Philip, Tim's got one sitting in a box. I don't think he's even taken it out, so maybe he just wants to send it over my way so I can.
Would you use it?
What's that?
Would you use it?
No.
Then why would I do that?
I just making conversation here. Okay, let's move right along. Hey, Bill Rubenstein. Hey, Bill, we have a slide to show. And by the way, the thumbnail for tonight's live stream is a Go kit that Bill put together, and I've got a slide that'll show that in a little bit better. He's an Elecraft man, and he's put himself together a nice Go kit.
See,
hey, nice to have you.
That's something I'd pay for.
An Elecraft?
Yeah, they're priced comparably, I think, to the ICOM, are they not?
There's still more by the time you equip it with options, but you can do things like put an internal antenna tuner in, right? So that kind of lets the 705 out, because there is no option for an internal antenna tuner. The ICOM's got an external one, a small compact one, but yeah, I think that's where the Elecraft has. Well, of course, people talk about the receiver quality on one. My buddy Tom's got one, and next time we go out, I want to sort of A/B the 705 with his Elecraft and see if we can put some stuff on the air.
That'd be a good video. That'd be a good video.
Yeah, I think it would be. So I'll work on that. We got Mike N2MAK. The G90 is a lot of fun. Hey, listen, I am not knocking anybody who's got a G90. I think our friend Walt. I think he took me the wrong way when he was on our stream. I don't think he likes me anymore because I did a little bit of bashing of the Chinese gear that he's so fond of. But I do it in good humor, and it's, hey, one man's cup of tea is not another man's, and I just I'm not enamored by that stuff.
No. No, he didn't take it the wrong way. It's all friendly. It's all in good fun. Your ICOM is a splendid piece of equipment, and I'm sorry that you're not exactly happy with your purchase after all this time, but surely you considered the G90 and the Elecraft and the other radios before you made
the Elecraft is just way too much money. I get just yeah. We talk about that another time. Let's get through a few more of these comments, and then we get into meet it tonight.
There's
Andrew N1 YLO from Connecticut.
Yep, not far from me. Berlin's not far from here.
Hey, fantastic.
Is that supposed to be? Is that YOLO?
You're right. You only live once.
You live once. There you go.
I wonder, Andrew, are you in the there's a Connecticut POTA group that I recently got connected with. Maybe that. I wonder if you're in that. Because these guys go out and, like, you want to talk about hardcore POTA guys. These guys find parks, like, it's almost like you go in there and, like, you got to watch for the park ranger. Make sure you get in and out before the park ranger shows up. I mean, pretty funny reading what these guys.
Guerrilla radio. That's kind of how I thought the whole thing started. Way back when they would, and then they sponsored that contest. But it seemed to me like, that would be the fun thing to do, is to go out there and hike a trail and, throw your radio up in a tree for half an hour and then get out.
Actually, the story is there's a guy that did a video of activating Gateway Park in St. Louis. It is a POTA park, but they do not allow you to set up radios in there. So there was a guy that went in and got as stealth as he could with his antenna wire, and he had his radio like in a little bag next to him, and he had like a little picnic blanket out. So it looked like he was just having his lunch, but he was actually operating.
We should talk to that guy. I like that guy.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty funny.
Hey, Mike, N2MAK, I wonder if the boomerang antenna is similar to a G4ZU jungle job antenna. There's another one I haven't heard of.
Yeah.
That's ham radio slang for you there.
Bill Rubenstein back to me. It's VE3MRZ, by the way. Boy, I hope I didn't butcher your call, Mike. Or sorry, Bill. I just paired up a 705 with my hard rock amp that has a tuner in it as well. That's a nice combination. That hard rock amp looks like a nice piece of gear.
Why would you? Okay.
Go ahead. No, ask the question. Do it.
Why would I go out and I'd spend $1,400 on a radio that I know only does 10 watts, only to put an amp on it?
Right.
I think that's a fabulous question.
When I think if you approached it empirically, though, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong. People are going to do what they want to do, and I'm agnostic about all this stuff. But all I'm saying is, you've seen all the data and all of the anecdotal stuff around 20 watts being, an S unit below 100 watts, right?
Yes.
So why would you take a 10 watt radio and put 50 watts on top of it? What do you gain by doing that?
Okay. Here, take a look here. Bill's answering it for you.
Okay.
Answer is for fun.
Good enough for me. Good enough for me.
But this is a very good question, Tim. I never understood it myself until POTA came along. And now you've got guys who are rolling up to parks, and all they want to do is they want to spend 1 hour, maybe 2 at a park, and they want to rattle off as many contacts as they possibly can. They want to have a pile up, and they want to just work it like crazy. And they believe, and many times they're using compromise antennas.
Sure, of course.
So of course, when you use a compromise antenna, which is fast to set up, now you got to overcome that by throwing more juice at it. That's where the whole amplifier on a QRP rig comes in.
Right.
And there's also this belief out there that look at an FT817, for example, 5 watts. There's an awful lot of people out there who think, hey, if I've got a 10 watt radio, I'm going to make more contacts with that than a 5 watt radio.
They're right to a point. 5 watts is too low. I'll admit that.
I disagree. I respectfully disagree. I think it can be proven pretty simply.
Well, hang on a second.
5 watts and 10 watts are roughly equivalent.
You can see it. You can see from my thing that I only identify as a phone op. I'm not actually a phone op.
It's right there.
So when 5 watts for me doing CW or digital is all it's fine. I couldn't, and we've talked about this before. I couldn't. I think I would become frustrated, doing it sideband with 5 watts. I think that would hurt. Which is one of the reasons why I like going to the G90. But this is an easy conversation, or it's an easy position for me to take about that when the bands are wide open and we're at the top of the solar cycle.
Right.
Well, there's another element.
When I grew up, it was if 15 or 17 was open, wow, it was a big deal. You weren't hearing anything on 10, and nothing on 6. 12 is nothing. So it was 40 and 20, and if you wanted to work digital, you could go 30. In the old JT65 days, but there's hardly anyone on 30 either, because it's an odd band. It was all 40 and 20, and that's just the way it was when I first started out. But as things have progressed, I can sit here and say, you don't need but 10 meters is open to the other side of the world.
Yeah. Yep. No, fair enough. Good points. Hey, I don't want to. Boy, we could spend a lot of time talking about that, and I have a feeling I'm not making friends when I say stuff like that, and I just need all the friends I can get, so I'm moving along. Jay Johnson says, I use the LDG Z100 Plus with my ICOM 705. Works perfect.
Yep.
And Jay, absolutely right. I've got an LDG Z817, and I've also used it with an AT100 Pro. So they work fine. Absolutely.
See, that would be my only real knock. I'm teasing when I say overpriced and underpowered, but only real knock would be that it didn't come with a tuner.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. Because there's an off-center fed dipole needs a tuner, and it's a great antenna.
Yeah.
So Andrew's picture you see there, right? That tower is. You can walk out of my house, stand in the street, and look down my block and see that tower.
Is that the
Oh, no
Shawshank
kidding.
Redemption Tower or something? What is it?
Herline, I think it is, or something like that. Yeah, and that is a POTA park. But the thing is, you got to hike up to that tower to get anywhere where you can set up and activate. So, and clearly Andrew's done that.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah, nice.
All right. Hey, here's next. Sorry, the chat here won't let me post a link. Maybe you can. Oh, just hang on a sec. Neck, we were talking about that. What the heck was the name of Boomerang? So let's go see what Neck wrote about the Boomerang antenna. It's a vertical antenna with a counterpoise element on 45 degrees.
Okay.
Okay. It's like, sounds like an inverted V, or maybe on its side or something. It says it's vertical. So, okay.
Yeah.
I did see one.
Well, in essence,
I did see one.
Go ahead.
No, I just saying I saw one like that. It didn't.
So you know what? Like a ground plane, for example. Remember those old ground planes that Radio Shack used to sell for CB?
Yeah, and
you know, for a ground plane. Yeah, a ground plane. I always thought, because they were always sold that way. You know, they had 3 horizontal radials. You don't need 3. You only need 1. Right. You just add the additional 2 for aesthetics and to reduce a little bit of the directionality.
Right. That's right.
Here, I'll tell you what. There's
well, there is a theory that if you put up a vertical antenna, the more radials underneath it, the better. So
here's the link. I'll put it in the private.
Unless it's at elevation, Chris. If you've got it up high, then they say don't go any more than 4. Right. It's not going to be a thing.
Right.
All right, let's take a look. Okay, we got Mike back in. If QRP was easy, everyone would be doing it. Hey, cheers to that one, Mike.
Everyone is doing
Seriously,
it.
Though.
Everyone is doing it.
Seriously, though, I go back and forth between QRP and 100 watts. Like antennas, there's pros and cons to each. As long as I have fun, I'm fine. Hey, what's wrong? We got this toolbox. We got all these tools. Why not use them all from time to time? That is fun. Variety. Philip, multiple parks in one day is a non-starter for me. Well, that's because Philip's doing things like setting up delta loops, for goodness sake.
I know.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
I did it once on field day. I actually activated 3 parks on field day, and it's a killer. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Yep. You got to be dedicated, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, we got Rob, VE3PCP. Thanks for joining us, Rob. It may be considered cheating to some, but I use my remote while I'm mobile. So I have 9 bands at my fingertips and audio through the truck stereo. Ooh. That is great.
I got 2 things to say. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And there's no such thing as cheating. There's only playing to win.
There you go. Fantastic. I love that, Rob. Okay, what do we got? Philip, KA4 KOE, 20 watts is the spot for power, effectiveness, weight. The E1s can only carry so many batteries. Okay, what's an E1, guys? I'm drawing a blank.
I think he's talking about the Yellowcraft.
I was going to say, is that the Yellowcraft?
Oh, okay. Yep. All right.
He'll tell us in a second, though. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The Boomerang you're talking about now, Simon VA7BIX uses that. Oh, okay.
So I tossed. If you look in the private chat, I tossed a link in there. I don't know if you can see it or not. If you could pull that on the webs.
Yeah, you should be able to do a screen share there, Trace.
You guys seeing this?
Yep, there you go.
All right, here we go. Take a look at it.
So that's a 27 to 28 megahertz Boomerang antenna, which I think is what he was talking about, right? Yep. Was he talking about 10 meters? Yeah. 10 meters, 11 meters ish.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool.
What do they want? What do they want for that? What's the price on that thing?
It's not sure. Oh, wait a minute. See all buying options.
$89.95. Okay, that's what it shows me.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is where are we at? This is Amazon.com, not Canada. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Sirio makes good stuff, from what I understand, right? I know they're pretty big in the CB world.
I don't know. I'm not really familiar with them.
Yeah. They're from Italy.
How many watts does it take? That's the
now there's a question.
Here's a kicker.
600 watts.
Ah,
Uh,
lock them up.
200 watts continuous.
and you
Lock
know,
'em up.
that means there's a CB operator out there using it with 600 watts.
Well, I'm thinking if you're a CB operator and you've got the money for a 600 watt amplifier, you're not using that antenna.
Good
You
point.
probably got something a little bit more sophisticated.
More substantial than that. That's true.
Yeah. All right. What else we got here? Hey, let's go back to Rob. Okay. Rob V3PCP. I ran HF Mobile for several years. Kenwood TS120. Cool little rig.
Nice.
Hustler mobile antenna on the roof of my truck.
Yep, I remember those.
Short lower mast. Okay, because they're available neither short or long. Worked Europe, South America, VY0 ERC, all on 40 meters. 40 meters. That's sweet.
Yeah, impressive.
And Philip came back. He verified E1 is the lowest enlisted grade.
Oh, right.
It's a military term.
Yeah, well, nobody says E1. They just say private.
Oh, okay.
Clearly, none of us were in the service.
I was. A private.
The radio guy had a lot of batteries. This is Chuck T. Hey, Chuck. The radio guy had a lot of batteries for the radio and tended to ask others in the group to share the load. I'll bet he did. Those were probably lead acid batteries? Hey, here's David, K04GAR. QRP is easy. The key is to run resonant antennas. What do you say about that, Tim?
I would bold and underline and write that in letters of gold if I could.
Yep, that's it. That's what it's all about.
Thanks, David. All right, what do we got here? You can find it cheaper. So this is Nick talking about the boomerang. You can find it cheaper. He tried 100 watts and it was fine, but don't tell anybody.
I won't tell anyone.
Nope. Nobody's giving away any secrets here.
Nope.
I'm not the rat. I'm not the rat. That's somebody else.
And it's called the Thunder Pole in the UK, but it is more expensive. Well, that's a nicer name. Of course it's
Thunder Pole.
EX Commander. Oops. Can't break your E1s by overloading them. Oh, that's interesting. Look at that. All right. So thanks for the comments, people. Keep them rolling in, please. We'll get to them as we can. But Chris, I think it's time now. We're 40 minutes into the stream.
I think we're ready
Let's
to go.
talk a little bit about preparing for our ham radio in the spring and projects we might have going on and that sort of thing. Do you want to maybe share a few thoughts?
Tell me what to do, Chris.
Sure.
Tell me what to do.
Like I'm some sort of expert. X meaning has been, spurt just a drip.
Well, you put yourself forward on YouTube.
I did, and I
gotta be
actually
right.
a couple of years back I did do a couple of videos on prepping your gear for to go outside. I mean that's mostly what we talk about on this stream too is operating outside and going into parks or wherever you might be going. So what I did was, and I think it's kind of a wise thing to do is to test all your gear before you take it out there, because you don't want to find out when you get somewhere, you set everything up and you realize, oh crap, I forgot the coax cable, or oh no, this connector's broken, or oh, what am I going to do? My batteries are dead. I forgot to charge them. Yes, sir. We have a
That never happened to me.
No, of course not.
No.
Because you don't get out of your basement.
Not anymore. No.
So the recommendation is this, and what I did a couple of years ago was to, first thing is you whatever you're carrying all your gear in, if it's a backpack or it's a pouch, whatever it is, take it all out and just do an inventory. Make sure everything is there. Second thing is there's that old thing to go by, like to have two is to have one, and to have one is to have none. So make sure if you're using a length of coax, if you can carry them, take 2 lengths of coax with you in case the one cable goes bad. You've got a backup for it. Same with batteries. Always have extra batteries with you. I travel with I could dig them out, but I'm not. A couple of the Bioenos, the little 5 amp hour batteries, because I'm using the 817 and I'm not out like running for days and days at a time. So I have 2 of those now. So I've got a main and a backup battery source, power source for the radio. the other thing, but the main thing is to test it all too. Like, so do your inventory, make sure you got everything, and then set it up. Set it up at your house. Sit on your back porch or wherever you are, and put everything together and make sure everything works. The connectors are good. There's no intermittent connections. Make sure your antennas are going together in one piece, and you don't have to call Tim and order another dipole, right? So these are the things you want to test ahead of time. Now, I was sharing a story earlier that before we went online, that I was doing that very video, and I was testing. I had the 817 set up, I had the antenna set up, all my cables. Okay, let me fire it up, make contact, right? And I'm keying up, and I was like, I'm not seeing any audio. I was like, no modulation. I said, what's wrong? Well, on my 817, I have the, in fact, I conveniently have it right here. I have the Soda Beam's little speech processor that hangs on the microphone for the 817. This cable failed. The little RJ cable that connects to this just goes in line with your microphone. So this cable had failed. Now, if I hadn't tested it, I would have gone out, set up somewhere, got all my antennas up, everything else. Okay, spotted myself on a POTA site or something, started calling CQ, nothing. I would have found out the hard way. So again, it's the idea is test all your gear, make sure everything's working, make sure nothing's broken. The other thing I would do too is go through your stuff when you do your inventory, and then really ask yourself, am I carrying too much? Which I think, believe it or not, most people say, oh, you can never carry too much. Yeah, you can. That bag can start weighing 50, 60, 70 pounds with all the junk you're carrying in it, and you realize that you don't use it 99% of the time. You can rethink a lot of the stuff you carry with you. But so the main thing is do your inventory, make sure you got backups on some of the key components, the key like stupid components like batteries, coax cable, things like that. Another thought is, do you want to have a spare radio? Now Tracy did a video where he set everything up and he was ready to go, and his radio had a problem. So fortunately, he had a spare radio with him, and he was able to, at least make the trip a success, because he's, Tracy goes like into the deep hinterlands of Canada. So he's in the middle of nowhere, literally middle of nowhere. And ham radio outlet's a little too far away, so he can't. We're not getting another rig. So it's wise to do that. So what I'm thinking about in my kit, just as I've been kicking this idea around, I'm like, when I really am truly portable, I've got one radio. I've got the 817. So if the 817 dies, I'm done. Pack it up. We're finished. If my truck is nearby, I've got the 7100 in the truck, so I could go in there and use that if I want to do radio in there. It's not the same. Not the same as sitting out at a table, beautiful outside. So I'm considering a backup rig, and I don't know. I'm wondering whether I want to alienate my friend Tracy and buy one of the radios that Tim's got.
Do it.
So you're in danger of actually making that your main radio.
If I do that,
if you do that,
yeah, yeah. Well, with the 817, I've had first of all, for everybody in this channel, the way I met Tracy was I watched this channel a lot when I was getting interested in doing QRP, and he did a video of operating field day with an FT817. And I was like, wow, that means it can be done. So I went out and bought the radio because Tracy was successful with it. And
I confess, I arrived at the same conclusion as you did.
It's all Tracy.
And I love my 817. I do.
I do. Yeah.
Some people would sell theirs or get rid of them. I'll never do it.
No, me either. I've operated it with the internal battery pack. I've done that. It's like
that. I've never done.
I've done that. And I did. Dopey me decided I'm going to experiment. It was a field day weekend. I said I'm going to experiment and operate off the internal batries, which is automatically it reduces the power automatically.
You're talking about the double A's, right? The double A's on the inside.
Yeah, but I got the I forget which one. The rechargeable, the Panasonic.
Yeah, the math just doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, but you can't go full power with it. So you're like 3 watts on field day, right? And I wanted to
for half an hour.
I want to see how long the batteries lasted, and they actually lasted about 5 hours before they finally died. Yeah. So I was impressed.
I wouldn't have gone with the rechargeables. I would have gone with like the full-on
just good old-fashioned
quantum Duracells or something like that, and gone for maximum power. Because I think that they peak out higher than the regular. What kind of rechargeables?
I forget what they were. The
I used the Eneloops, right?
That's it. That's what I used.
Yeah, those are probably where they were at one point. They were the best ones out there.
Yeah, I got them years ago, but I haven't used them since. Actually, I'm like, because now we got the 2 bioNOs, which they're pretty light. They're not that big, so they're fine. But so the main point is inventory, test. If you need to, if you can carry 2 of some of the more key components, carry 2 of them. And yeah, just it's better to check
anything, you're gonna fit in here.
That bag, I'm telling you, that bag's got me on overload. I'm trying to figure out what I can put in that bag. There's so many compartments in that thing.
You got lunch,
yeah, you could carry half your house in there.
That's an interesting point too. How are you getting all this stuff?
Yeah,
where there and back, right?
Yep.
And is it organized? Is it all thrown into a bin or into a backpack? Is it carefully packed so that it's not going to suffer any damage on the way? These are all important considerations.
Yeah. I would also recommend, I would say, take with you a I have it. Here it is. Like a real serious battery pack for things like your iPad and stuff like that. Because if you're maybe logging on your iPad, which a lot of guys do. I don't. I do pen and paper. But if you're logging on your iPad, you don't want that thing to die while you're out there. So bring a couple of those little USB.
So in the old days, what I would do is I had my Sony. It was my Sony VIO laptop, and that's what I did all the radio stuff on.
It's a great laptop. I
would have to. It was the touch screen too, so I wouldn't have to mess with a mouse or anything like that. So I had the touch screen. And I would have to pack like two extra charged of the batteries in the back, right? And shut the whole thing down, flip it out, put the new battery in, fire it all up again.
Yeah.
And make sure. But who did a cool job putting stuff together for carrying is that is Tech Prepper. Have you seen his man pack?
Yes.
That's a slick idea. It's 100% custom, of course.
Yes.
But it's a nice solution.
Yes, now I talk about a guy that, look, I guarantee you he's always testing his gear because he's operating it every weekend, right? So he's always checking it, make sure everything's working. And you're right, that setup he's got is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have mine all in a backpack and it is organized, but it's still there's a lot of stuff in there, and it's just I'm rethinking what I'm carrying and how I'm carrying it. To Tracy's point, it's organized, but is there a better way to do it? Is really the question too. So, and I would also suggest if you take an HT out there with you, which I typically have it with me, make sure the thing's sat on the charger the night before you went. Make sure you got a spare battery for it, and make sure that's charged too. So.
All good stuff. Hey, Tim, do you have any? Now I know you're busy as a beaver with your antenna store, but are you working on any projects for the spring?
I have. We were talking about secondary radios, and I have a true SDX that I bought.
Oh, nice.
From the DL2MAN store on eBay. In Bitcoin Orange, right?
Oh yeah.
I really want to get out with that thing and see what it does and play with it. That's my one. So I'm thinking I take that, a battery, a paddle, a microphone, and maybe a tablet, and throw them all in a grocery store bag, right? And just head on down to the park over here and just do something some afternoon. I really want to do that.
Yeah. Well, Gilles, who we had on, right? The radio prepper. He had same. Didn't he have that same radio that he took out with him?
He might have. I think he did something. I think he did something on that radio too.
Same thing with a very small antenna, a wire antenna, and he's all about CWs. So.
And just a bag. Yeah, just throw that bag up in the tree and go.
That's it. Yeah. But it's funny that now we even talk about stuff like that. So, say you got to rely on. Okay, I'm going to go to this where I'm going, and I'm going to throw the antenna up in a tree. Do you have that stuff with you? Make sure. You know what I mean? Make sure that's packed. Make sure you have it with you. There's a lot of schools of thought about, we all have, most of us have like a shack at home, and you've got your shack in a bag or whatever it is you take out with you, right? It's tempting to borrow from your portable gear. Say, oh, I'm doing this little antenna project. Let me grab the hunk of coax out of here and I get myself set up.
I do it all the time.
At home and everything's fine. Then you grab your bag and you go out, a couple months later, and oh crap, I don't have any coax cable in here. So
yeah, the bad news is that all of my portable stuff is like right next to the workbench and everything. So if ever I need something, I'm constantly digging in there. As a result, all my portable stuff is jumbled up. So I
yeah,
have to pull it all out and like
Yep.
go through it again.
Yep. Now I found out the hard way. We went out, Patty and I went out on a camping trip back in September, and I threw the backpack in the car, or threw everything in the car, ready to go. Right. We get to the campsite, which is like a good hour and change from here. And what did I leave home? The fiberglass pole, the vertical antenna, which I have in a little PVC tube. None of that. It was all home. I was like,
Well, apparently you didn't watch Tracy's videos very well because he's always been telling us to make a list.
I know.
You've got to make a list.
I know.
And just a short little list, right, Tim?
Right.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like the guy in the Arrested Development, right? You ever watch that show? Always leave a note. This is what happens when you don't leave a note.
That's right. So what I did, luckily, when I got there, in my bag is my throw bag with a line. I was like, hey, wait a minute. And I've got Tim's 20, 40 meter link dipole within that bag. I said, I'm good to go.
Always there.
Yep. So I got on the air anyway. So
hey, let's catch up on some comments that have come in.
Yeah, I think both got a lot to say. Yeah.
So Philip, my best activation was using a Tim end-fed random wire special around 250 contact. That's awesome.
It was a special. Yeah, he wanted some particular features on his.
Well, that's impressive. Rob Noakes, my friends Eva HB9 FPM and her husband Andy HB9JOE do SOTA with a K2 and resonant antennas all the time. QRP at elevation works well.
HB, isn't that? I always get that confused. Is that Czech Republic or is that Austria or what is it?
HB9 is that Honduras?
No. It's Europe. It's in the middle of Europe.
Oh, maybe it's is it really? Yeah. HA is Hungary. Switzerland maybe. Continue. I threw you a curveball.
You did. Okay.
Ryan change up curveball.
Here's Philip back. A dummy load is resonant. I think he's making a comment about our point about resonant antennas.
Yeah,
HB is Switzerland. Hotel Bravo is Switzerland.
All right. Hey,
I got one over on the old man.
That ain't hard to do.
VA7HCW finished a homebrew 3-element Yagi UDA with gamma for 2 meters this weekend. Working great. Looking forward to some POTA SOTA action this summer with the 897D or 706 Mark II-G. That sounds fantastic.
That 706 is an awesome radio.
Yeah.
Awesome radio.
Philip, my new operating regime is not to use the same antenna twice in a row. I like that.
All right.
Again from Philip, carry basic tools, at least a Leatherman. Yes, sir.
Good point.
Or prior approved equal. K6TAT, I always forget the coax or to charge my batteries after the previous use.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Been there, done that. Hey, David, KO4GAR. I think he thought it might be Panama, but we got Switzerland figured out.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, HB is
Thanks, thanks, Rob. VE3PCP. Okay, let's get into the slides a little bit, guys, because I do have some stuff to get into. And let me just revamp the screen. Here we go.
A couple of years ago, we did that stream with what was it? The Burlington Area Radio Club.
Yep.
Is that what that's from? I know Bill's the president of that one, right? Isn't that?
No, Bill's not the president, but he's a member. I'm a member of the Burlington Amateur Radio Club. Yeah.
And I remember there was a guy there who had Pelican cases. Who had
that's right.
A room full of Pelican cases that he had modified for radio stuff. That was super.
Yeah, those things are pricey. Holy cow!
No, yes. Go to Harbor Freight and get the Apaches for like a tenth the price.
And if you're in Canada, go to Canadian Tire and get the maximum.
Right? Same thing, right? Yep.
Yeah, I think they're the same thing. Yep. Tim, you sent me this link to bent dipoles. This was a really interesting link. Tell us about it.
I've spent a lot of, there are a few websites out there that I return to time after time after time, and they've just become my. There's like a well-worn groove in the carpet, internet carpet, for me to these places, and it's just one of those websites that we were talking about, having things to share, and I sent this to people who ask me questions. I always send them over to, I think it's KK4BI, but Dipole's page. There's just a ton of good information on there, because I get a lot of questions. Okay, I'm going to put this in my attic, and I have to go around a beam and down by a gutter, and then I've got this, I've got the transformer box over here, and can I do that? And it's like, well, it's really hard for me to visualize exactly what your setup may be, and just off the top, if you're putting something in your attic or something like that, you're compromised off the top. But a lot of people in their outside installations too have a tree to go around, or a pole, or something, right? It's always something. So this page here has done a lot of work around what happens when you take your dipole and you bend it at funny angles. And it's just an excellent resource for anybody out there who has something.
Yeah,
has to do that.
Cool.
Fantastic.
What's the actual? What was the URL? Is there a way for us to stick the URL in the chat by chance?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
Can we put the link in the chat? Is there a way to do that?
The link. Well, you didn't send me the link. You sent me a couple of screenshots.
I've got it bookmarked, so let me.
URL, URL. Okay, not Earl. I was thinking it was that guy, the roof repair guy, Earl.
Yeah. Okay.
Whenever I hear Earl, I think of Earl Scribe. We'll paint the car for $29.95.
It must be different up there in the Great White North.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, put it in the chat if you got it, because that's that looks like.
Here we go. KK4OBI. That's who it is.
All right.
And I'll have to stick it in the private chat because you won't let me have access to the other one.
Like, that's not true.
Give me a second here.
Yeah, sure.
Talking. Yeah, keep talking.
Okay, let's move on to the next slide. KF6GSE, Alicia. This must be the lady that you were referring to.
Yes. Now, every once in a while, you get to meet some really cool people, right? That are just fun. So this lady, her husband died a few years ago, and she drives around in her Russian sidecar bike with a QRP rig doing all kinds of stuff, and she was looking for some 80-meter extensions on her dipole. But she was saying, "Oh yeah, check out." So she calls this thing the White Widow, right? And apparently, it's a real conversation piece. It's an old Russian sidecar motorbike, right? With some really goofy electrical connections, because it's supposed to have a machine gun on there.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's really cool. So that's her QRZ page, and I put this in there just because when I grow up, this is what I want to be doing. I want to drive around the desert Southwest on the sidecar with, my radio.
That sounds like a nice thing.
And just a really neat lady. That we did some email exchanges back and forth, and it was just, what, this is the kind of thing I can deal with.
Very cool. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. So if you get a moment, check out what her call sign is. What KG6GSE. That's a neat thing. And if you hear her on the air, for sure, that's when you want to have in the log.
Yeah, no joke. Oh, that's so much fun. Okay, so Bill, VE3MRX from the Burlington Club, lives not too far from me here, and he put together this very spiffy looking Go box for a Zellicraft rig. I'm really impressed. Now, I'm not an Ellicraft guy. What is that box to the left of the rig there? Do either of you guys?
Is that the pan adapter? I think it's the pan adapter for it.
Oh, okay. Hey, Bill, if you're still with us, let us know what that is. But that's a nice looking Go kit. That actually does look like a Pelican case.
Yeah,
dig it.
Looks good.
All right, Philip. We were talking about Philip. Let's just. Hey, let me just catch up on a couple of comments here. So Chuck T must be a play on White Russian phrase.
Maybe. What is a White Russian anyway? Isn't that
drink? Isn't it?
Vodka and milk or something like that?
Yeah. Great way to start the day.
Yeah, that's right. Eurobike. Based on German BMW R71. Well, that's interesting. Okay. Moto from Fred Torres. Yep.
Kahlua, it's vodka, Kahlua, and cream.
Oof. Yeah. Oof.
Whoa, that's sweet. Okay, so MG42s are pricey, so I guess this is what we're talking about here.
No. He's making a reference to an MG42. But what he doesn't realize is that the MG42 is a German machine gun, and the mountings wouldn't fit on a Russian bike.
Ah.
Well, there you go, Philip. Jeez.
You got to talk. You got to talk to Philip for a while. After you have half a dozen or so conversations with him, you get into that gear, and it's just like. Okay. but even then, it's tough because like the E1 thing. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, MG42s. That was a burp gun. That was Hitler's machine gun or something like that. I don't.
Oh, okay.
For it.
So Bill, VE3MRX came back. It is a pan adapter. Good eyes. Well done, guys. All right. Let's continue on. We'll see what else we got here. So Philip put himself together a Delta loop, 90 contacts in 3 hours, 40 to 10 meters. Nicely done. Now the photos don't really show it well here, but off to just the right-hand side of the photo is a mast, the same mast that you see in the photo to the right, and then down by the base of the tree, you can see what I believe is the end of the horizontal element of the Delta loop, and then it goes up to the top of the mast, and then back down the other side where there's another support for the far corner. So cool stuff. Now, Philip sent this over to me. He refers to this as a bouncing Betty, which he described as a German landmine. But he said this is actually, that green thing you see right there is actually an N9 SAB creation, a custom N9 SAB creation. Tim?
Okay. So I'm talking to Phil. He goes, I wish I had a random wire that could do 500 watts or some nonsense like that, right? And it's like, okay. So I got these two giant toroids, put them together and wound them up and put them inside this. I found a 3D print model online that would accept them. It's like a canister, right? So one end is threaded, so you plug a UHF connector on one end, and then a positive and negative on the other end, and the toroids are in the middle. And I showed it to him, and he says, "Oh, that looks like a bouncing Betty." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I suppose it does, right?" And so it's these two giant material toroids put together inside this thing that can handle however God many awful watts he wants to use. With I think he used the 35-foot radiator on it to do it, so it's like a giant random wire. But apparently he took it to the park and some people liked it. And it's like, "Ooh, can I get one?" And no. Which is like Phil's favorite thing. No, it's custom made for me. You can't have it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So,
very cool. Great story. And I'm presuming it worked very well. He was able to
he tells me it did. I wasn't sure about it at all. I didn't know how that thing was going to do. I've got two of them. I've got this one that's done, and then I've got another one for a friend of mine down in Texas who wanted one too, who's a random wire guy who wants to run 200-300 watts off of this thing. And I did Phil's first and sent it to him. He being an engineer, right? If there was a problem with it, he might be able to say, "Oh, it was this, and I could just make those changes on the fly." So, but apparently he plugged it in and it worked pretty well right off the beginning. So good.
Very cool. Hey, we got Mike, Ham Radio Tube. Hey, how you doing, Mike? Nice to have you join us.
Good to see you as always.
Absolutely. Hold on, that picture was in my video today. Really? Okay, very cool.
There's another one out there. Another picture of the bouncing Betty.
Good stuff. Well, we'll have to go over and watch the.
If enough people were to ask for it, I might do something. But it wouldn't be cheap. I mean, I had to put some time in on that thing.
Okay, here we go. The cat's out of the bag.
Oh, Phil, he mailed me. Yeah. Yeah, Philip, he gets around, man.
Yeah, he sure does, doesn't he?
Wish him well too. I think he's got there's a family illness I think going on.
Yeah, I think he mentioned that people are getting over it now. When we were
I hope
back
so.
and forth.
I hope so. But I want all the good wishes.
Hey, here's Philip again. 150 contacts on Bouncing Betty.
Betty.
Wow.
Hey, Fred, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your coming on board. And look forward to seeing you next time. All right, what else we got here? So, hey, this was a really interesting one. I do get some interesting comments from time to time on my videos. Question, if you use it, and this is all I got, if you use a dummy load, will it totally protect the radio from any way too high SWR damage that would likely be caused if you transmit without the dummy load?
Well, on paper, yes.
Yeah. I'm assuming that without the dummy load means without anything on it.
I presume, yep.
Yep.
But also you better take into consideration the power rating on the dummy load.
Right.
You know, don't put 100 watts into a QRP dummy load, or you could end up with a problem. Hey, Hammer YouTube, I'm over here too. All right, take care, Mike. All right, let's take a look here and see what we got. Okay, I made on one of my older videos, a field day video. Somebody came back to me and said, you know, because I made a comment about Class D stations when the ARRL changed the rules so that Class D stations could now collect points working Class D to Class D. So here's a comment that came back and says, why Class D? If you're in an actual disaster level emergency, who do you want to contact? Stations in similar circumstances or stations with access to unaffected infrastructure? Disaster response and recovery takes a little bit of everybody, as reflected in the ARRL RAC field day rules. Chris, do you have any reaction to that one?
You know, okay, so I get what the essence of this is. It's like, you know, if field day is truly a disaster response exercise, then who cares? You're making a contact from one radio to another. So sure, I can see why that person would kind of see that. But my thing is that field day is meant to be a field operation, right? So it's really encouraging contacts with either field to field or field to base, you know, stations, right? I don't know if encouraging base to base, you know, Class D is really the way to go on it. So,
refresh my memory. What exactly is a Class D?
It's AC power, working from a permanent station.
So that's the 100-watt home station.
Right.
100 watt, kilowatt. I mean, you can be running whatever, right?
Yeah, right. It used to be like pre-pandemic, actually, because they made that change during the pandemic. The pre-pandemic was you could operate field day from your home shack, you know, no problem. Make as many contacts with field stations as you want. But the thing was that if you made a contact with another, you know, home shack, base shack, right? Then base station, then that you couldn't get points for that in the point total, even though field day is supposedly not a contest. So, and then during the pandemic, they changed that rule. And then those of us that are out there operating in the field, all you heard were like, you know, Delta to Delta stations contacting each other. It was really tough going. I know, Tracy, you had the same experience.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but now the ARRL has adopted it and said, oh, that's in from now on. So
yeah.
Wasn't that a pandemic response though? I mean, when people were on lockdown, they wanted to run a field day. You got to give somebody a
right. And I get that, but now it's like, okay, that's in our past. It's in the rearview mirror now. So it's like, do we go back to the way it was, or? I think the ARRL just saw it as, hey, we got a lot more people involved in the field day by doing that, so let's just keep it.
Yep.
I think that sounds to me like the more pragmatic answer. That, you know, yeah, we got a big response and people seem to like it, so let's just keep it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean, your hardcore field day dudes are a different breed. So it's like,
yeah.
I mean, and everybody's doing POTAs anyway, which is field day every day.
It's interesting you say that, because there are some folks that like I think Tracy said at the head when we started that a lot of people will get on and just bang out as many contacts as they can when they go out to do a POTA activation. It's like, boom, boom, just make, it's almost like they're operating like it's a contest. And it's like, it's not a contest. That's the just same as field days really should not be a contest. It should just be, let me make sure all my portable gear works. Like we said, make sure I've tested it at home. Let me take it out and practice setting it up. And that's the whole idea of it. And same way, I think POTA is the same kind of thing. Yeah, it's nice. You're going to go out and make some contacts. Let's activate a park. They give you an award for everything on the POTA site, which is great. So you're right. Tim, you're right. POTA is literally like field day.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to do it.
Because when I take a field, when I say field day, people are read apart. I'm talking about the guys that are out there with generators, and they bring out the whole setup and fire it up. I mean, that's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, field day has with all those classes that they have in field day. You can kind of say, hey, I'm going to operate field day this way. Under these certain circumstances. So parameters.
So, Tim, I just want to sort of make a delineation there between POTA, because POTA is mini field day light, right?
Yeah, sure.
When you're going out for field day, you got to plan for 24 hours. You've got additional logistics involved that you don't have when you're pulling your car and running from your car at a park.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the additional layer of field day. And for those that are making the effort to go out there and set up that temporary station and then get on to 20 meters, where you've got now all of a sudden you've got wall-to-wall signals with one Delta stations talking to one Delta stations with their big antennas, and you can't find a sliver of space to set up on, or they're splattering so that you're trying to get the weak guys in between. It enhances the challenge considerably.
Right.
That I understand for sure.
Right. The actual on-air experience in field day is very different than a POTA activation.
Yep. Oh, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's move along a little bit. Oh, this is an eye chart. You know what? I'm going to leave that one for another one. And same with this one here.
At least let us read it. At least let us read it. What was it about anyway?
All right, so I'm going to read this one aloud. So here's where it comes from. I did a video a couple of years ago about the Yaesu FT991A.
I remember that.
I ran it at 20 watts, and I ran it with a 10 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery.
I remember that too. Yeah.
And at the end of the video, so I actually exhausted the 10 amp hour battery after about an hour's worth of operation. This is the same video where I did a number of input voltage tests, comparing multiple radios. And at the end of it, I actually dinged the 991A for a high current draw. So this is a response to that video. There are a lot of possible...
From Yaesu or from...
No. This is from a commenter on my video. Yaesu doesn't know I exist. Yeah.
Okay.
There are a lot of possible reasons why the battery depleted prematurely, other than the radio is more power hungry. Without being able to measure and compare total wattage consumed while you were operating in the field that day, and having similar wattage consumption comparison of you operating your other radio in the same day, it's not a deterministic comparison. A one-day test is a single data point, and therefore, in my opinion, inconclusive. Your bench tests do indicate it draws more current and therefore more power, but there are many other possibilities that contributed more substantially than the current and power draw. The problem in the field could have been battery health. Batteries degrade over time and usage. Environmental factors, like maybe it was hotter that day and therefore the fan ran longer than on previous days with your other radio.
I see what. Yeah, I see why you didn't want to get this. So let me get this straight. So you took a regular base station radio like the 991. You took it to the field, hook it up to the battery, and the battery died.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not really. It was. I never really thought it would be a portable radio. You just have to see how it would do, right?
Well, here's the thing, right? Don't forget the 991A replaced the FT897 in Yaesu's lineup. And
Yeah,
it was the Shack in the Box in a similar form factor.
I thought it replaced the 450.
Nope, replaced the 897.
Okay.
But and here's the thing, right? So Yaesu is notorious for producing specification sheets that screw up the numbers. They indicate that, for example, for the FT891, which actually draws, you can set it up to draw about 900 milliamps on receive. Yaesu's spec sheet indicates 2 amp draw. Okay, that's a huge difference. Likewise, the 991A spec sheet specifies a 2 amp draw. So I couldn't find, I looked everywhere before buying a 991A. I looked everywhere to see if anybody had done any testing on receive current draw. I couldn't find anything. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna buy a 991A and I'm gonna test it. And that's what I did. And when I did the testing prior to taking it out portable, I saw that this thing was drawing. I could get it down to 1200, let's call it 1.2 amp hours. I'm screwing up, guys.
Draw and receive.
10, right? I could get it down to on receive rather than 2 amp hours or 2 amps. It was drawing 1.2. But the moment I did one of two things, either turn on the antenna tuner or key up the radio, the fan would kick in, and immediately at that point, the current draw would increase to 1.6 amps and would not come back down, even if I left it. So that was prior to taking it out portable. But I wanted to take it out portable. I wanted to give it a shot and say, okay, let's see how it does in the field. Stuck a 10 amp hour. I set it at 20 watts output, which should have been well underneath the threshold for a 10 amp hour battery from a transmit. So the point this gentleman is making, and listen, I'm not knocking him. I get what he's saying, and I like to come at things from an actual specification driven perspective. So I'm completely, if somebody writes me something like this, I'm paying attention. They could teach me something. I don't know it all. And I think he raises some good points. Number one, what was the health of the battery? Now, my Life PO4 batteries are all pristine. I haven't really used them very much at all. I take care of them according to the manufacturer's specification. I keep a charge in them. From time to time, I top them up. So it should be in good shape. However, I didn't run it on 2 10 amp hour batteries consecutively to compare the two batteries. I didn't run it on a 30 amp hour battery because what I was trying to do is say, okay, if I'm coming out here for a couple of hours, I'm running an FT891, all I need is a 10 amp hour battery.
Right.
And I'll be fine at running at 20 watts on that rig for a long time. Probably 3-4 hours. But not so with the 991A. So anyway, bottom line, I think he makes a good point. I like the way he thinks. He's thinking critically. He's not being, in my face with this comment. He's trying to position, okay, you could have looked at it this way, and I'm all ears to that sort of thing. So that was the point of bringing this comment up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I started that here.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go.
I don't know, but it just seems to me from reading this that you know he's working very, very hard to not come to the conclusion that radio draws a lot of electricity and you're going to kill a 10 amp hour battery when you use it in the field.
I guess the question is just, does he own a 991A?
I don't know.
It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I liked about when you tested that, it was a practical, I'm taking it to the field and I'm going to try it. Right. And bottom line, you can test things on a bench to kingdom come, right? And you'll get all these numbers and all these specifications, but pack it up and take it out in the field and see what happens.
Yeah.
And a radio like that with the fancy screen and all the bells and whistles and stuff like that, it's going to draw more power. It just is.
Oh yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So Philip tells us that the shelf life of Life PO4 batteries is around 10 years, and it should be, right? Those are
10 years.
Those are pretty good technology.
So you recorded your battery manufacture dates during your test, right? You submitted
No.
that. You submitted that with the literature.
Actually, no.
You didn't fill those forms out.
No, I didn't.
Well, damn it, Tracy.
What was I thinking?
Move on.
Next time, I'm going to give you a call.
No, I don't have the forms. I have the U.S. forms. I don't have the Canadian forms.
Don't ask.
All right,
don't ask. I'll just say, does it work? That's all I'll ask.
Hey, he's not here tonight, and I thought he might be, but our pal Scout 75 had a nice YouTube video. His goals for 2024. Yeah. So he wants to do 1 CW soda or POTA activation. That's pretty cool. Yeah. By the June 30th. He wants to do 2 more soda activations. There's number 2 is more soda activations, weekly WinLink sessions, and he wants to attend the Huntsville Ham Fest. So that's a pretty good list.
He's been becoming active with that Long Island CW group.
Oh yeah.
I think they do like on air, CW practice sessions, kind of like AWRL does, but they do it more often. Yep.
I saw some tweets on that. Yeah, that he was talking about.
So he's getting involved with them.
He's starting to be able to identify the tones.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be asked to do a presentation to them a couple years back. It seemed like a nice group of people.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got? So Tech Prepper, we talked about him earlier. He's done a video on HF comms, hunting, camping, and food. Now, this is my kind of video, getting right out there, doing some camping, and that he did a winter field day activation.
Didn't he, in that video, didn't he actually hunt the food?
Yeah.
Oof.
Tim, look at this. Hey. Tim, Golf 5 Tango Mike. If you're watching this after the fact, Tim, hope you're doing well.
He's looking kind of scruffy there.
Well, I think he's an educator, right? It kind of goes with the territory. He's probably got the patches on
I remember him
on the jacket on the sleeves, right?
I remember him without the beard. It was kind of,
yeah,
kind of like it's kind of like
it.
It's kind of like a Riker thing,
It's a rugged thing. I kind of like
beard, pre-beard, post-beard.
It's wintertime. He's keeping his face warm. It's okay.
That's right. Hey, so you did a first ever POTA activation. Way to go, Tim.
Like Stonehenge or something? I mean,
wouldn't that be amazing?
Throw a bag of those.
Can you imagine, hanging a wire off Stonehenge? That'd be fun.
What are they going to do? Yell at you?
Okay, here's another one. So Kevin Lofton, the old tech guy. This is an older one, but it's caught my eye because he's got one of these MX P50M amplifiers. I've got one here.
Is that the 10-meter Italian job?
No. No, this is a Chinese one.
Oh, okay.
And so I've got this amplifier. I've got an interface kit, and I want to use it with my 705. So I might get an opportunity to do that on field day this year. So watch this with some great interest. Kevin's done some
He's one of them.
Interesting stuff because this amplifier is dangerous to use unless you buffer it.
So were the 10-meter Italian jobs. I mean,
were they?
They're great fire starters if you're cold.
Oh, I'll tell you this, but this thing can blow up a rig pretty quickly, which is why I needed to buy the buffer kit for it. So there you have it. I just anybody who's thinking about adding an amplifier onto an ICOM 705 should go and check out this video if you're considering this particular amp, which is pretty popular because it's a very low end amp.
What's it called? What's it called?
So there's no brand name as near as I can figure out. The model is MX-P50M.
Why does everybody use the same letters for that kind of stuff? Everything is MX or XP or
XS20,
XS2050.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds high tech.
All right. Hey, here is oh my gosh, I can't read it on the screen here. Ham from out west, and I'm sorry, I can't see his call. He did a YouTube video. Look this up. Cancel RFI ANC4. So I've got one of these. This little photo in the upper right hand corner of the photo here. That is an ANC4 noise reduction unit.
Yep.
I have the time wave equivalent of it.
I remember
sitting
those.
over here.
Yeah.
And this is a spring project for me. You have to set up a noise antenna.
Yep.
And apparently this thing will perform magic if you get the noise antenna correct.
Yes. It basically just, it takes the noise and phase
It
cancels
the other, the QRM.
Yeah.
You know, I have that guy in Texas that my buddy I'm doing the other bouncing Betty for is like 10 miles away from like a 50,000 watt AM station. He's got that problem. I wonder if this might be up his alley too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? It sounds like there's a lot of people that get frustrated with it because they never figure out the right noise antenna.
Right.
So I'm going to spend some time this spring playing around with noise antennas. You have to get it just right so that it's picking up the noise and not the signal.
Yeah, if my memory serves me correct. I mean, this because I went down this path a number of years ago too, and I seem to recall it being a bit of a pain. I'd be real interested to see how it works for you. Things may have changed.
And some of them have built-in whips on them, but from what I've heard, like they really don't work. You really want to have an outside separate antenna for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So more to come as I got to do some digging into that. Hey, so Philip came back. He suggests PowerWorks, excuse me, guys, PowerWorks inline ammeter is accurate way to track amp hour usage. I haven't heard of one of those. I'm gonna have to check that out.
You can get them on. You can get them. PowerWorks is probably the brand, the high end brand, but you can get the little Chinese ammeters, volt meters.
Oh yeah,
it's this little thing.
Yeah, here you go.
It's the same thing. Yeah, I've got something like that, but I didn't know it tracked amp hours.
Oh yeah, these things track everything. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I only ever use it just to check the voltage, the input voltage.
It's just more stuff.
Yeah, it keeps track of your amp hour usage. So if you're hanging on your battery, you keep an eye on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Just more stuff to carry. More stuff more stuff to forget. More stuff to break.
So on that, let me just show you something here.
Uh-oh.
So here is an ammo can.
Sweet.
This is the Cabela's, made in the USA. They're none of this made in China garbage. And inside here, I have two.
No, not ammo.
What's that? No,
not ammo.
I live in Canada. I'm not allowed to do that.
What size? What size is that? Is that the 5.56 ball, or is that the NATO 7.62 size can?
I don't know.
FMJ. I'm sorry, Phil.
So
he's gonna get that. He's gonna come up with it's FMJ, not ball.
So in this box, I've got two 10 amp hour batteries. Already have the. I never take that cord off. It terminates in a power pole. I've got a power cord, which is actually an extension. All right, so it's got a power cord on a power pole on either end. And also in the box, I have the recharger, and I have the one thing that I might forget if it's not all packed in with my battery. And it's all in here, everything to do with the batteries, the charger, the batteries, the cable. All I need to do now is look on the radio side. I'm just going to bring along a cable that plugs into the radio and terminates in a power pole, and I'm all set. I take the radio box, I take the battery box.
So now 3D print a frame that'll fit inside there that'll hold the battery steady, and then you can have a power plug on one side to charge the batteries when you need to, and a power plug going out on the other side, hooked to a little voltage meter, right? So you can run the voltage meter, and then have a USB charger attached to it too, right?
That's pretty spiffy.
Run it all together and stick that in.
That's pretty spiffy.
You got a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let me see here. What do we got? Sent one to Tim and UPS lost it.
No, was that in the box too? Okay, cool. I got a grab bag. Phil sent me a grab bag box, and it fell off the face of the earth.
Oh yeah, there's a happy postman out there somewhere.
Or disappointed.
See what else we got. Temporarily offline ham radio. So this is Steve, I think. Guess what he's got there, guys? Have you seen this one?
What's he got
His
there?
2-meter HT EDC everyday carry.
Oh,
It's the same. It's the same pouch that I sent you guys for Christmas.
That's your bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
This bag right here.
He put a video out about this last year. I missed it, but he's been using it very successfully for a while now. So I wanted to give a shout out to Steve on that one.
What's he having the little map compartment in it?
You know what? I'll have to go back and take a look again. I don't know.
You can remove that.
Yep.
And I'm like, this thing has got more compartments and everything else you can.
So where do I go? Where do I go, Tracy, if I want to buy one of those? Is that available at outdoorsonair.com or
Amazon? Winex is the brand name.
Yeah, look at all these things.
Or you can take a look at my video from January, which is the ultimate and cheap Go pouch for your HT or QRP radio. It's all in the description there.
Can I get it in that sweet tactical black that he's got there too? Or is
heck yeah, you can get it in a wonderful coyote or a glorious olive drab.
Now, Tracy, on your 817, do you have this? You have just the legs on it, right? You don't have
no, I don't even have the legs on mine.
Because I have the these sides here,
right?
Which makes it pretty much impossible to get this radio inside.
Yeah, it sure would.
Yep.
Great piece of gear though.
But those aren't the only legs that you can get for that. You know,
well, these are one. This is the set you made for me.
Well, yeah, I know I didn't make them. I got those from Thingiverse.com. But there's others. I mean, those just seem to be the coolest ones.
Oh, this is awesome, man. I love it. But it's just like with them this screwed onto the side of the radio with especially this up here, it won't fit inside the pouch.
Did you try turning it?
Yep. Yeah. I was like, oh well, but that's all right. I will find. Believe me, I will find a use for that.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, we are at 1 hour, 36 minutes. This has been a great stream. Let me just change the layout a little bit here. All right. So let's, why don't we put a bow on this thing now? Tim, any parting shots as we get out of here?
Yeah, the one thing we didn't get to was Mike's video on is 29 feet too short for a random wire on 40 meters. The answer is yes. Really, I mean, it works, but you do better. But the one thing I wanted to share with the group was another one of those websites that I've worn a carpet in my ISP to is the University of Delaware site on random wires that tells you what lengths not to use.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
There's a little chart. Maybe we'll pop that up next time.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Which is why my random wire comes in 35 and 71, 35 and a half and 71, because that's a sweet spot. That 71 foot puts you in the 80 meter category, but you have to remember to factor in velocity factor too. So 29 or 35 feet, 35 and a half feet in the King's footsteps is not necessarily 35 and a half feet electrically. Mm-hmm. I use the UL107 with the PVC jacket, which technically classified as a heavy insulation. So my velocity factor is 0.95 or something like that. So if you're using, like, say, the Teflon wire that some people like to use, the silicone wire, that's actually, you would want it to be longer in that case. But that's another topic for the next stream.
I like that. Maybe we could do
Tim,
special.
That's why we buy antennas from you. We let you figure that all out.
Hey, I got nothing else to do, man. Yeah, see, Mike says in the comments the 35 and a half was his first end-fed random wire length, and it was great. Yeah, that's for 40 and up. 35.5 seems to be the shortest practical, best performing length for a random wire. You can go shorter, but it doesn't work as well. You go longer, and then you've got just lots of wire that you have to deal with.
Good stuff. Okay, Chris, anything to round us out with here?
No, just everybody get ready for when the weather breaks, and test your gear, make sure it all works. Take your inventory.
Yep, maybe we'll make contacts with everybody here on POTA. Make some contacts that way, and it's getting exciting. It's getting the weather's starting to turn.
Now that we move this to a Monday night, there may be a particular Monday that, because I know Patty and I were the camping trips we booked, we're out over Monday night, so I might be joining you guys from a campsite somewhere.
Oh, wouldn't that be epic?
That'd be pretty cool.
see, my camera went all blurry. I should check the current draw.
I thought it was you.
That's because Bigfoot just walked into the room.
Either that, if I had that doggone inline meter, I could measure it and not be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking a little on the blurry side. Something you drank or something? You all right?
Yeah.
Tim's getting tired. We better let him go.
Anyway. Oh, there it goes. Damn it. The fan went on.
Hey. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Wonderful to have you aboard. Great pleasure, as always. To my co-host, Tim, November 9 SAB Antenna Store on eBay and Etsy.
Yeah, I'm on Etsy too.
Fantastic.
And soon there will be a I don't know if once I become a legal corporate entity, I'll have a N9SAB legalcorporateentity.com website people can go to. Nice. Whatever that is called.
Fantastic. Good stuff. All right. Chris, did I give you a chance to say? I'm getting tired. It's time to put a wrap on it, guys.
He's fading fast, isn't he? Look at him.
Oh, yeah.
He pulled the rug on us.
I can't hide it.
He was like, okay, sure. This is great. Let's
do it. Everybody, 7-3. We'll catch you next time around.
Later.
Bye now.